I
3,
might keep that shit in,
2,
bro.
1.
Hey everybody, welcome to the second episode of Implying We Can Discuss Music podcast. It's me, Zach. You know who I am.
And it's me, Matthew, the British one. So glad to be discussing one of my all-time favourite artists, Daft Punk. There's a fun little factoid to start off, where they got their name from, because before they were started in electronica, they were originally a small indie band, and basically one of their concerts got a really bad review in the local press, and the author described them as a bunch of daft punks.
Nice.
So they thought, haha, that's where they got the name from.
Yeah, it's actually so hard to come up with a cool name, but the second some critic just roasts you, you're just like, yo, man.
Let's make the most of this.
Yes, exactly. So to start off, I'll describe Daft Punk a little. So they're a duo, right? Guy Manuel de Homem Christo and Thomas Bangalter. And so there was a movement, right? And it was like a French house movement before they actually did their Daft Punk stuff. Thomas Bangalter was a sick DJ, man. Oh my god, if you're into DJing, this guy just fuses so much samples together.
Very much get the full sense of that in their Alive 2007 live album, where the whole thing just blends into one, and you've got whole sorts of different tracks all blending together. In fact, most DJs will just play a track live. What they do is they meld two of their tracks together, so it's basically a new track or a full-on mashup.
And it's their music, which is what's great. Usually DJs will pick and choose and put it in their crate, so to speak, or their vinyl crate, and then play the two songs together, after practicing at home and whatnot. But these guys just straight up compose their own sample-based music.
Every single major French house release, or every other major French house release, he has been involved in. Outside of Daft Punk, he worked with Stardust, he worked with Cassius and Alan Blux and Romantony and all that. It was a scene that was very interconnected.
And they were I think their manager later on was Pedro Winter, the head of Ed Banger. He's still the head of Ed Banger right now, Ed Banger Records. So he saw something in them, and I do think that they were just the perfect storm of musicians in this time where people were really wanting for avant-garde music. You know what I mean? Some avant-garde shit.
Sort of electronica that's a bit different, because the 90s was where alternative music truly blossomed where alternative music could enter the charts. And by the mid-90s, the house craze had become a lot more progressive, a lot more experimental, where you started getting artists like The Prodigy, who mixed elements of rock, artists like Underworld, who were really unusual, and Left Field, who dabbled in all sorts of genres, where it suddenly became...
They were an alt band, like you said, punk band, I think. They were called Darlin', I think.
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, Darlin', and it's just a crappy name. But yeah, after that whole fiasco with the Daft Punk thing, they started, I don't know what made them do it, but they got into drum machines, synthesizers, sampling.
I think everything would have been the local music, or the music that was popular at the time, because a great way to get an insight into Daft Punk is that on their debut there's a track called Teachers, in which it literally is just them listing off their influences, and the main things were basically American music in terms of hip-hop, because they're huge fans of Dr. Dre, but more importantly the American house scene. Those Armand Van Helden, DJ Pierre, Paul Johnson and so on were all doing massive stuff at the time. And as said, electronica was becoming a lot more alternative, with The Prodigy and the Chemical Brothers, and that evolved into big beat, and that was where artists like Van Helden and the American house artists that Daft Punk were inspired by started becoming truly massive, so it was the perfect time for them to slip in.
Exactly. They also, I just googled it, so they branded themselves Darlin' because of the Beach Boys song Darlin'. They covered it, right?
Yeah. In fact, on Teachers, they even list Brian Wilson as an influence.
Exactly, yeah. That's where I started getting okay, they definitely got Darlin' from somewhere. I need to figure this out. They didn't just pull it out of their butt, right? There was they were openers for this band called Stereolab, who kind of just like did them a favor, and Bangalter like is on record saying like, quote, the rock and roll thing we did was pretty average. I think it was so brief, 4 songs and 2 gigs, and that was it. And to continue with the name origin, right? Some guy named Dave Jennings gave them a really bad negative review. And he said he dubbed their music a daft punky thrash. And they found it amusing, right? And they struggled so long to find the name Darlin'. Like they struggled so long apparently to find this like Beach Boys song name, right? And then they just, the second they saw it, they were like, yo man, this is how we're doing it. They instantly dissolved their band, and then formed Daft Punk, and they basically like went into the new wave, like you said, with the 90s of the French house movement and everything, and then they started using drum machines, synthesizers, and then basically
they made the first big splash of the movement, because I said some artists like Saint Germain, Cassius had been building it up for a while, but it was them that made like the first big splash where they were like, yeah, this is a movement.
The thing is, like, the movement in France was like very like underground and weird. So like you know, like Euro Disney, right? Disneyland in Paris or whatever. There was a rave, right? This is pre-homework. There was a rave, and they went and like met some dude, man. So forget his name, some label boss. I'll look it up right now. Stuart McMillan. Oh, he's from Slam. Okay, so yeah, some band guy. Basically, they gave him a demo tape, right? And literally the debut single was called The New Wave. It's literally called The New Wave. So like, it's kind of like interesting that I just used that word, The New Wave, and they kind of knew that they were the new wave. Gave it to this guy in Disneyland. He lost his goddamn shit and basically signed them instantly to Virgin, I think, or I forget, man. I don't care about the.
Yeah, I think Virgin was definitely the major one where they got released over here, and it's like the new wave. But that was, you know, a demo in like 2 senses, because it was their demo, but it was also the demo for a later track, because the track was later remade as Alive on Homework, an absolutely fantastic track. How it like builds and builds and builds and gets you ultra hyped.
They basically returned to the studio after that like single, all the hype up for about 2 years. They made the funk, which everybody knows. So yes,
like
so
the first big splash, and I think it's because it was the first one that truly like made their mark, because it was a track that was unlike anything else, because it was like electronic, but it wasn't really like Eurodance. It wasn't like too rocky to fit into like the big beat sector. It was something that was truly unique, and how you knew there was something new and going on in France.
And what I liked about them was what I like about them is that they had a level head. They never, you know, like saw the fame and just jumped for it. So when they signed with Virgin, they made a deal basically. Like the reason they signed with Virgin as opposed to anything else was because Virgin let them license their tracks through their own production company called literally Daft Tracks.
Wow. And
so Bangalter said, you know, they got a lot of offers, right? A lot of offers, and they wanted to wait and they wanted to make sure, right, that Daft Punk did not lose creative control. And through Daft Track, they had complete creative control over their masters, right?
And that has been one of their like most pursuing factors, because
yes,
you know, they just do whatever they want when they want.
Yes,
because
exactly.
You know, most essentially in how they spend like 5 years or more in between albums. Like currently, it's been like 8 years since their last album.
Which is
they
crazy.
Just do things when and where they're inspired. Yeah.
Yes.
But Homework was truly the landmark, because after that you just got great stuff after great stuff from France, because following them you got Etienne de Clessy, Mr. Oiseau, Cassius, and then all the side projects from Bangalter, like most notably Stardust, which produced Music Sounds Better With You, probably like the biggest mega hit of the French house scene.
Yeah, Bangalter really, really kills that track whenever he DJs it, man. Oh my God, like he just manipulates the mix so well. It's disgusting, man. It's so like simple what he does, but like perfect, man. I could get into it right now, but honestly, it would go a lot of people's heads. So, like, I'm not even gonna bother. We're gonna take forever to talk about that. Simple, like, just that's what they were great about. Like, most DJs and stuff nowadays, man, even deadmau5 and stuff will like straight up just press the play button and do a little filter, do a little this, do a little that. These guys would just straight up like
constantly shifting and changing it.
Yes. So it never sounded the same. Any Daft Punk performance was actually not the same ever. Mm-hmm. So that's just crazy. And like the way they ran their production company was genius. Like you even have Taylor Swift, Kanye, Justin Bieber still like fighting legal battles on legal battles just to gain any sort of control over their masters. While Daft Punk, again, like you said, can just chill for 5 to 8 years. They don't care. They do whatever they want whenever they want it.
And they've kept a very good control over their image as well, because like some artists, they're very like camera shy. So during the Homework album, they obviously just wear any random mask. So be it like a devil mask, a bank robber mask.
Yes.
And then they developed like probably the most like sleekest, coolest look of any musician once they got to the Discovery album with those iconic robot designs. And whenever they're asked about it in interviews, they'd always jokingly say, "Oh, we fell asleep on our equipment and we woke up like this."
Yeah, exactly. So they know how to set a little backstory to themselves and stuff. They like that whole like story arc.
They're good at self-mythologizing or using that sense of mystery to draw people.
They know their mythological tropes.
And like with David Bowie in his later years, where he, didn't do any music video. Didn't do any press interviews, didn't do any TV appearances. Just used their like reputation and mystique to really like add to just the great, unique vibe to the music.
There was also like I've just found like this magazine cover from Mixmag, August 1997, and they have the devil masks on. It's literally just two guys in t-shirts with like a blue devil mask and a red devil mask.
One interview where they sort of like had bags over their heads, like
yes.
like a hostage situation. Yes. What's your favourite of like the versions of the robot costume? Because they had like the more multicoloured one, the more colourful one from Discovery, the more sort of like black and gold one from the black, gold and silver one, which has sort of persisted, the white one from the Grammys, and then also the neon one from the Tron Legacy cameo.
I like, honestly, for me, I like the Omem Christos mask way more than I like, the visor one.
Oh, yeah.
I like that one way more than the robot-y one. It just seems more aesthetically appealing to me. But one quote they said was, "There is nothing to follow. There are no rules anymore." And that really, I think, set like their creative, what do you call it? Creative like drive or whatever, creative mission statement. That was their mission statement. There is nothing.
Where it's like it's just all about the artistry. It's just them doing what they want to do.
So don't look at our faces. It's no rules anymore. Like people are like, why? Why do you do this? Who cares why we did it? They can make up a reason every time.
Yeah, and that's again like a big hint to their influence, because it's something that's become a staple of electronic music as a genre. Because as you mentioned earlier, deadmau5 has the gimmick of the big mouse head. Marshmello has the marshmallow on his head, and even like Geschafelstein wears a mask.
They're all copies of Daft Punk, straight up. Like they're all just inspired from Daft Punk completely. Like it's not even like
bigger legacy they've left.
Yes, the legacy that they've left is just far-reaching forever. So with Homework, I think that they like moved away from Eurodance, which was basically like, the Europop stuff, like Eurovision stuff that you always see. And they kind of just brought it back to house, right?
Created something new for France that sort of like redefined how people thought of as French yes. music. Because before it was, all the crooners, Jacques Brel and Jane Birkin, Serge Gainsbourg, and now France is now predominantly known for its electronic music. Because I said you got Air, Cassius, Mr. Oizo in the years after them, but then years and years later, you've got like Justice, Geschafelstein, Phoenix, M83, big mainstays of like indie and electroclash and new disco that are all around because of them. And even like Kavinsky and the synthwave scene is all comes from France and is all linked, so all links back to them.
100%. And I also think that one thing, like for Homework, especially like their singles, they use like English words, right? So like around the world, for example, is English. It's completely English in terms of like, you know, around the world over and over. And it's like, I think that really like made them accessible, because like a lot of French art in general is meant to be like gatekeeping, like, oh, you don't understand this, you wouldn't possibly understand this kind of art. And they were more like, oh, no, you can totally understand this. In fact, we welcome you to like join in.
Yeah, and probably very much due to like their American influence as well, how that was what influenced their music, so they kept it so it remained very like, you know, English language world leaning, which allowed them to have just such a great appeal.
And their music videos are still amazing to this day, for like the funk, Around the World. Spike Jonze directed one, Roman Coppola directed another.
They're very much like Radiohead, where they fitted into like the post MTV era of music videos, where it was like being as weird as possible, but in a really like hyper creative way, and they achieved that fantastically. In fact, they paid a huge attention to their music videos. Like all the ones from Homework were all, in fact, all released on a DVD, which shows that they were like core to the project.
I think it was a story about dogs, androids, firemen,
and tomatoes.
Yeah, there you go, tomatoes. That I couldn't remember the last one. It was amazing, honestly. So like for a debut, you couldn't really possibly have done better. And I think a lot of their success was built on the foundation that they really, really wanted to protect their music from being used in any way they didn't want it.
Yeah, and also I think they've been like their music's very personal as well, because it has quite a DIY sort of vibe to it. So like it does sound like it's a pair of teenagers making music in their bedroom with like a sequencer or a MIDI using crate vinyl and all that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's what makes it so great. It just sounds like two kids having fun and giving it a really personal, sort of odd warmth to it almost.
Yes, exactly. So that's pretty much Homework. So what's your favorite track off Homework?
I have to say, if I'm doing like a top three, I'd definitely say Daft Punk, because of course it's the classic.
Yeah, same.
Alive, just because I said it's just an ultra hype track, as it just builds up and builds up. It has that sort of almost, you know, Euro dancey, classically rave vibe, but I said it's just a lot more clearly like big beat based. And Revolution 909 got a nice funky vibe to it. Also a good sort of national history behind it, because the opening like minute where you have, you know, the sirens and the crowd screaming, it's like, do stop the music and go home. That was them making a statement, because they'd frequently heard of cases where the French police at the time would be overly violent and aggressive when like trying to break up raves and that sort of thing. So making a statement about that. And in fact, that's something that's still relevant, because I think a few years ago there was a case in France where, you know, the police violently broke into a rave, and one of the guy who was sort of like drunk on drugs or whatever, you know, fell into a river and drowned because of how much chaos was kicked up. So they're like a great like national, you know, political statement as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't even know about that. Holy shit. Like, that's deep.
Yeah, France has a history of sort of like, you know, a very like tough police, and unfortunately like, overly tough policing.
So yeah, I would actually agree with you on that list, man.
Yeah.
So
what would you say your favorite tracks?
The Funk. Instead of Alive, I would put Around the World, because it's just, oh man, it's so good. And then Alive. So for me, it's The Funk, Around the World, and then Alive. And Around the World, the video was amazing. Again, because it was in English for me, I was just like, yo, you know, it was just nice. It was just like a nice thing for a kid to hear. Like, you know, just really cool. I wasn't really into the DJ scene back then as I am now. But again, like, they really, really just turned it on its head and created a legacy for everyone to take part in and be inspired off of.
And it's also great how it comes together as an album as a whole, because like the funk is used as the centerpiece throughout, because like the opening track, Daft and Direct, is very much like a remix of or a re-edit of the funk, and even like the ending track, Funkad, is the funk backwards, so it helps tie it all together. And how they also create the vibe of it being, which adds to like, you know, the bedroom personal touch, they do it like it's a pirate radio station as well, because they have a track called WDPK 83.7 FM, the sound of tomorrow, the music of today.
Yeah, which to me speaks to me, man. That just speaks to me. Like that pirate radio stuff is just they're about it. You know what I mean? They're fully about it. They're fully with the revolution, if there even is one.
Revolution 909.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly, man. So going on to the next album, because we could honestly talk about
this is my absolute favorite. I think this is their masterwork. Some people will say Random Access Memories, but this is Discovery is the one I love.
Oh, for sure. Discovery is just, it is quintessentially Daft Punk. I think it's just like and what I liked about it was pretty much right after like their homework tour, all these festivals, they're headlining everything, all these cool videos. They could have just rested. They could have just, but no, they wanted to take it to the next level. They really, really did. Like, you know, again, they still kind of always harken back to that home studio feel still, right?
Again, being like very like sample heavy with their like absolutely fantastic ear for the best of samples.
Exactly. And they basically wanted to, for what I've gotten from their interviews, for them, Discovery was basically, they call it Discovery because they wanted to reconnect with the discovery phase of childhood, right? Where everything is novel, everything is awesome, that dopamine is firing wherever you discover, it's there.
And the whole album just does have a very like gleeful, I think one of the big appeals of Daft Punk is that it's so upbeat, everything's very like gleeful and wonderous and constantly creative.
Yes. Their first single was One More Time, right? And what I found different on One More Time, as opposed to like, you know, the homework stuff, homework was really repetitive, right? Like around the world, let's say, was really repetitive, right? I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it was.
Oh yeah, like they did it skillfully because they had a repetitive sample, but they'd edit it and alter it over the course of the song that it still like maintained your interest. But yeah, on this one, as you're saying, they went more in the pop direction in a way.
They had One More Time, gonna be okay, gonna be all right. You know what I mean? It was a very uplifting lyrics, very uplifting like beat. Like it was a bit repetitive. Again, this is not knocking. It's like the house formula, right? But they added like verses to it, which I really, really liked, man. Like it was just great. Holy crap. And they did use a lot of autotune before it was cool, which is funny. They totally used autotune 100%, and
it was sort of like pop, but it's pop that's great because it's pop that's aware that it's pop. It knows that it's just trying to be cheesy and fun, but in a really catchy, pure feel-good way, and it just fully goes with it. But the main thing to notice of this album, which can't be separated from it, kind of like Pink Floyd's The Wall, is how it has a whole feature film to go along with it, Interstellar 5555.
It was just like people were like hearing singles, right? So the singles were coming out, popping, right? Like everybody's like, so the other two singles I think were Digital Love. Everybody knows that one. It's basically like every dude send that to every girl and back, vice versa, right?
With some great Steely Dan-esque funky 70s guitar.
And then you had the juggernaut, the Daft Punk juggernaut, Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. And what was genius about Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger was it's done on a 909, I think it was, whatever, sample machine. Basically they sequenced it all live, like under live DJ sets for Discovery and stuff. They still sequence Harder, Better, like they sequence every single word on time. It takes so much skill and focus, and you know, to be able to do such a thing over and over. So it was just like, how are they perfect? And honestly, I think they just really care. They really, really care, and that's what I love about an artist. If I can see that they really put all their blood, sweat, and tears, and then some. Oh man, I'm just like, thank you, man. Thank you for giving us this masterpiece, bro.
And giving more than just like a masterpiece of an album. I think this one showed the next part of their legacy, because Homework was the first part of their legacy, as in highlighting France as a masterclass, as a core country for electronic music.
I still think actually that the Discovery highlighted France even more. I don't know if you know, but like, so I'm kind of like into French. was raised in Montreal, like lived in France a little. So they love anime, dude. But specific types of 70s, 80s anime. They don't like new stuff very much. It's not as popular in France. It's all like Hideo Miyazaki or whatever the hell his name is, kind of stuff, like, you know, that nostalgic childhood anime. And
that's very much where they came from with Interstellar 5555.
It's perfectly French anime. Like, it was just what? Like, it was their own thing. Like, they got animators to do a 70s style anime. Like, in 2001, 2003 actually, it was a perfect anime, like in the French style, with just back-to-back the album from start to finish, and it had a story, there was no gimmicks, there was nothing.
And it sort of like really helped complement the album as well, because it, you know, when you know there's like a story and a plot line going on behind these tracks, it adds like an extra sense of like emotion or involvement. Because you can't hear those tracks without picturing the music videos, and I think they're some of like the greatest music videos ever done. In fact, in terms of like how unique it was to be doing like anime, because anime had built up fame throughout the 90s, but it wasn't until like the turn of the millennium with Adult Swim that it truly got major recognition in the West, and they aided that because it was animated. The music videos were shown not just on music channels, but as mini shorts on Cartoon Network.
Dude, even the French anime channels, there was one called Mangas. Basically, in French, it's manga, and it's like it would literally just show us like little bits of the clips instead of like ads, because there's no ads on it, right? So they just show little Daft Punk clips every now and then.
That's like great interludes between shows.
Yes, exactly. So I looked it up just now. So they actually made the film with this dude named Leiji Matsumoto, who is their childhood hero, because they watched this kind of anime and stuff. So he
was like heavily involved in the classic anime they watched.
Yes, they got that guy of the anime they watched, and they were like, dude, we need a movie to this shit. You know what I mean? Like, yo, do it. Like, you know what I mean? And he was like, yo, you guys are so awesome that hell yeah, I'm so touched that you guys would do this. And it's like, oh man, like they're just, again, they go above and beyond the Call of Duty, man. Nobody asked them. They just wanted to do it. And it's just like they found their childhood hero. Like, you know, it's a childhood callback, and it really, like, a lot of artists try to do this, man. And they're the only guys that really did it. And what was really cool, after the fact that the anime, the hype didn't even die down, man. There was so much hype. It capitalized on it even more. I don't know if do you know about Daft Club?
Oh yeah, when they did the remix album where they got involved.
Yeah. So they were giving out Daft Punk membership cards to Daft Club, right? There's like one dude in the group that still has his. I forget his name.
Wow.
But you know, like they were actually giving out collector's items. Like literally, these things cost a fortune now, and you know they were just giving out like club membership cards. And again, this is in 2003, where it's not really done yet. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure, there's fan clubs and stuff, but this was like, no, you bought our remix album. I think it was off the internet. It was like one of the first things you could buy off the internet, and it would just get like sent to you like by mail, like the card, the album, because it was CD, right? There was no digital download, so it was like, yeah, man. And those remixes were crazy.
Well, I was just saying that I personally wasn't too like fussed on the remix album, but which is annoying me, because what I would have preferred them to have done is an album full of their own remixes, because because they did a compilation album called Musique, I think it's like 1993 to 2005. Yeah. And the bonus tracks on that album are all tracks that were remixed by Daft Punk, so tracks by other French house artists like Scott Grooves and Ian Pooley, and one by R&B artist Gabrielle. And those remixes are absolutely fantastic. I think for me they're amongst my favourite Daft Punk tracks, and just as good as anything on Homework. So I would have loved if they'd done like a full album of their own remixes, because it's something they actually do really rarely. Like, they really remix stuff by other artists.
Yeah, basically after the DJ days, they didn't really care about the remixing, but they still got it. Basically, they were showing you, you know, we still got this. All right. So enough about Discovery because we'll talk about it for literal ages.
Just quickly though, your favorite tracks from it?
Yeah, of course. That's what I was gonna get into now. So for me, all right, I still listen. I play this almost every day, man. And it's Voyager, right? So Voyager is just
my absolute favorite as well.
It's my favorite Daft Punk song, easily. Probably one of my favorite house, top 3, if not top 2, if not first. It's probably my favorite song, man. It's just probably my favorite song, period. And
pure, beautiful chill.
It's just amazing, man. This is what I like about Daft Punk. They have like parts of songs that you just don't want to stop. You know, you don't want it to stop. And for me, it was the bass line of Voyager. It just Voyager is amazing, right? It got that like pressure at the start, like it's so good, you know. And then you just get that like, oh my god, I can't even do it. I can't even do it justice with my mouth, dude. Oh, it's still like I want to play it right now just because I'm thinking about it. And it's
like they were masters of the bass line, like especially on Something About Us. It's one of the things that they mastered throughout their career.
Something About It is not one of my favorite songs because it's just a bit too like sappy for me, and then like I definitely hold like bad memories to sappy songs. So like for me, definitely definitely not. Like Voyager though, Voyager's so good. It's disgusting. It's like disgusting how good that bass line is. I've never heard a better one. It got me into. It definitely got me into like house music. That song got me into house music. It got me into music. Period. Like. Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, obviously great, but Voyager, it wasn't. I'm glad it wasn't a single because like it was literally like you hear
it's like a special find.
Yes, exactly. And whenever people are in like a car on a road trip, anywhere, any kind of like you want to remember this memory kind of moment, you play the Voyager, you'll feel that. You'll feel that so hard, man. It's just I will talk about Voyager forever to the point where like it's kind of annoying. I like Crushing Dolls. Superheroes.
Oh yeah, that's one that's just really sort of like you could imagine that one being played at the Olympics, like a big runner who's trained for years suddenly jetting off, and you could really see that one just matching with that perfectly.
Yeah. And the lasers, like again, like I said, that Punk's thing where like you just hear sounds you want to you don't want them to stop. That laser and pew 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 pew.
And again, it's like the great sampling as well. How it's all based around a Barry Manilow track as well.
Yeah. Exactly. And then in the arpeggios. Oh my god, the arpeggios.
And just the usual great sort of like synthesizer sound that you get near the outro. Basically, there isn't a bad track on the album. Like every single one is hyper catchy and a potential single. It all comes together as a story. And also how they've mastered short tracks with Night Vision, which is like 2 minutes yet pure euphoric nighttime chill, and then you've got Too Long, which is 10 minutes and feels absolutely epic. And it's definitely no accident that the 10-minute track is called Too Long. That was definitely what they were doing there.
I was actually going to say like for me it kind of plays a little too long, which is basically probably what they wanted. Like that's what we call it. It's too long, my friend. And I'm just like, word, bro. Like fucking. Jesus, like man. So for me, it's definitely Voyager, Superheroes, and I like Crushing Dolls. I'm gonna give Crushing Dolls the third one because it's just nice, very catchy. Oh, so catchy. Like you play Crushing Dolls like twice, you're like, what the hell? And then like about an hour or two, you're doing nothing, right? It's in your head. It's just in your head, and you're just like, man, I don't want it to stop, which is just, so good.
And personally, absolutely love all of them, but I'm going to have to say for the top one, Voyager easily number 1, Digital Love in second, and then I guess the Quickfire, Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, Superheroes, and Short Circuit.
Right, okay.
Oh, Face to Face, of course, as well. But but now I'm so great that I said second part of the legacy. First part of the legacy, French house music. Second part of the legacy, setting up, a genre that sort of goes outside France and is called to electronica, new disco. So where it would be based around like a 10-second funk or sample from the 70s, and then just manipulating it to just pure feel-good funkiness. Like pretty much every major dance hit in the early 2000s outside of trance was new disco. You had the Shapeshifters, you had Mojo, you had the Supermen Lovers.
But they did not hold a candle to that. It just
And of
can't.
course, Eric Prydz, Call on Me.
Yeah, Eric Prydz is still good. He's still good, but like, nah. For me, it's just like Daft Punk is just a juggernaut,
Yeah.
and it just.
Well, that's where a fun fact comes in. You see, Thomas Bangalter made a track using the exact same sample of the track from Call on Me, but he just didn't release it because he didn't think it was good enough. And then Eric Prydz somehow ended up making the exact same track.
Yeah. Interesting.
But Bangalter was thinking, damn it, missed a hit there.
Probably just, he might have even told him to do it, man. You never know. Like just some random club thing. He's like, yo, I did this thing, fucking, and then Eric Prydz was like, yo, I'm stealing that idea, straight up stealing that idea 100%. Oh, inspired. All right.
Yeah.
So Discovery, definitely, man, it just solidified Daft Punk as top tier, god tier artists that will never ever be touched ever again. And made this really stopped. And made
disco cool again in a way that was sort of like, all the major electronica hits, but also some of the pop hits, like when you get some of the stuff from Kylie Minogue or even like Madonna at that point with Hung Up and when she went full disco. And it's arguably being
later. Oh no, it was at the same time.
Yeah, and how it arguably sort of like created its own subgenre, because future funk, I think, is pretty much just Daft Punk's Discovery as a genre, because the same new disco sound and with anime imagery in the same way Daft Punk did with Interstellar 5555.
Yep. They even do that to this day with Vaporwave and shit, man. That's 100%. Again, Daft Punk's legacy is just, they're gods, man. They're literal gods.
And in fact, a lot of the future funk gifs are from Interstellar 5555, so the Daft Punk influence is so hugely evident.
It's crazy. It's actually flooring how influential they really are.